Welcome back to another episode of 6 and 6, where we cover 6 stories from around the world in 6 minutes or less. With that said, start your timer. First, we open in Africa, where accusations of bribery and corruption have been leveled at the highest court in the land in Kenya, mainly at Chief Justice Martha Koome. From BBC, quote, "In all these 22 years I have been a judge and a chief justice, nobody has ever approached me with a bribe. I would have arrested them," Martha Koome told the BBC. Some Kenyans have referred to this process as jurispisa, a corruption of the legal term jurisprudence, and pesa, the Swahili word for money, implying there is corruption in the judiciary. Koome has continued to plead her innocence, claiming that most of this is rooted in misogyny, though these claims have been elevated multiple times. We will return to this story if any fruit is born. Keep your eye on what's going on there in Kenya. Next, we go to the North American continent, where the path of Tropical Storm Nadine has put Central America in its crosshairs. After dumping heavy rain, bringing strong winds to neighboring Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, the storm is expected to swirl across Guatemala into Mexico's southeastern state of Chiapas and Tabasco through early Sunday. A forecast from the U.S. National Hurricane Center showed Nadine moving west at around 15 miles per hour, or 21 kilometers per hour, was blowing maximum winds that had slowed to near 35 miles per hour and 56 miles per hour, the NHC said. End quote. Though the storm has been downgraded, it seems to be less severe than anticipated, but local officials still advise taking extra precautions as it blows through the Yucatan Peninsula specifically. Next, we come to China, where a seemingly harmless social media trend turned into mass confusion on Friday night. From college students stuck in a nearby city to thousands getting stuck on the expressway where they were traveling to an opposite city less than 50 miles away. From BBC, quote, "What should have been a boost to the ancient city of Kofang's economy backfired when the trend went viral. Tens of thousands rented bikes cycled through the night from Zangnai on a 6-lane expressway between the two cities, quickly filled with cyclists as police took to loudspeakers, urging them to leave. Bike rental firms warned they would remotely lock bikes taken out of Zhengzhou." End quote. While most seemed to speak highly of the event, some participants quickly reported the mishaps of the night to social media, even some saying they regretted going. Further south in Australia, after the regional airliner Rex filed for voluntary administration, the Australian equivalent of Chapter 11 bankruptcy, the company has asked for more time in order to turn around operations. From Reuters, quote, "Rex in July entered voluntary administration, Australia's closest equivalent to Chapter 11 bankruptcy, cut hundreds of jobs and closed its subsidiary that operated Boeing 737 flights between Australia's major cities. The company has continued using its fleet of aging SAAB 340 turboprop planes for regional flights after calling in administrators." End quote. Many of the individuals that lost their jobs have been compensated for their time, at least depending on how long they were at the company. But as the restructuring goes forward, there is no doubt major changes still have to be made before the company is ready to be sold off after the voluntary administration. Next, on to the continent of Europe, where protests in Amsterdam over the weekend caused confusion throughout the city, but mainly centered around Dam Square. From BBC, quote, "The mayor, after Israeli football fans were targeted in what she called a, quote, hit-and-run attacks on Thursday night after a march between Maccabi Tel Aviv and Ajax Amsterdam." And when they say match, that is the soccer match, obviously. The Israeli government advised its citizens to categorically avoid Israeli sports and cultural events while abroad, end quote. Many have condemned the actions of the protesters, while others have justified their actions based on previous vandalism in the city. Next, in Finally, we turn to South America, where the Chilean government has been moved to seal off part of the desert where their famous ancient glyphs are located. Quote, it's particularly destroyed by motorcycles and off-roaders, Jose Bezada, general director of the Regional National Parliamentary Office, said. He said various groups were trying to preserve the site to prevent any more destruction, but also without restoring its former glory to show the error of people's ways in the future, end quote. And if you want to check out any of today's articles, they'll all be linked in the description below that like and subscribe button. You can go read all of them for yourself. Also down there will be the link to the RSS feeds. So, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Podvine. So you can download the show, listen to it at any time. You can also find the podcast that comes out on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 30 minutes long, more US focused. That will also be at this YouTube channel on those days or in that RSS feed. And also down there, you can find the Twitter handle at Your Daily Flip, where I post a Twitter tirade every Tuesday and Thursday. A little bit more off the cuff, a little bit less scripted, less news, more philosophical, larger scheme, maybe even something I'm reading. So with all that said, there's only one more thing to say. Stay safe, don't die.